I heard about it because I had just finished a 1-week retreat in Hawaii with Jinju, and I honestly, from the first time I took a class from her, it was a random class. My mom and I were at Wanderlust and we weren't even signed up for hula hoop, and then the last day we were like, oh, let's try the hula hoop class. And we came and Jinju was teaching, and right away in the way she connected to the land and spirit was something that it just spoke to me in a way that I needed. I teach different movement classes and I just needed to learn from this woman. It was, and even the 9 months at first, it was something that kind of intimidated me to have a weekly commitment when life gets busy. So I actually had doubts until probably the first couple of weeks in, where I also had started teaching. I teach yoga and dance and movement, and that was new again. I had taken a break for 7 years, and so each week when the session happened, and looking at the cost, I had broken it down going, wow, this is pricey every session. But each week, hearing the stories and doing the homework and then having this fuel for my own class and my own commitments that I had made to myself, right away it was a no-brainer. I knew I had signed up, and I felt very sure about the money I was spending. I was hoping to stay connected to a feeling that I had experienced while I was traveling and while I was in really beautiful communities in person with people. So I was really hoping to keep that, and that surprised me on a virtual journey. At first it felt like, oh, well, how can I commit to this versus my day-to-day physical life? So that connection stayed, and then moving into when we actually met each other in person at this last retreat here in Bali, it was like sisters coming together. So you can't distill it into one, but what comes into my mind right now was a true commitment to my language and the power of language and the words that I choose to speak with, and also the neuroscience that we learn throughout the journey. For example, one thing that Jinju taught us was that certain patterns take hundreds of repetitions to change. And when I first heard this, it felt a little bit intimidating until I realized, when I was slipping into old habits that I didn't want to be in anymore, that oh yeah, I just have to keep going. I just have to keep doing the pattern that I want and speaking the language that I want to see happen. Through play and through using the tools of flow and dance and hoop and poi and all of these things that we're doing with NaiAsa, it's just coming quicker, everything. The connections and the belief and the trust and the faith, it's all just coming into a true belief versus just the words being spoken. Well, for me, it was really just a huge desire to keep connecting to people that felt had a similar purpose, a similar vibe, that felt like my tribe. And so anyone who's missing that, who's needing that sisterhood, it blew me away that a virtual journey could do that.